previous weekend there had been a power down.
There was a power down in the South Tower on the weekend of the 8th and 9th of September.
Who was a director in the company that provided electronic security for the World Trade Center and Washington's Dulles Airport, both involved in September 11th? None other than the president's younger brother. From 1996 to 2000, Securacom installed what was referred to as a new security system at the World Trade Center. Wirt D. Walker III, a cousin of the Bush brothers, was CEO of Securacom from 1999 until 2002. Interestingly, these facts have not been made public. Was it only a security system that was added during those years, or was it also the wiring for a long-awaited plan? Scott Forbes, an IT specialist in a firm that had leased space in the South Tower since its erection, reported an unprecedented power down in his building for almost the whole weekend prior to 9/11.
We were notified 3 weeks in advance of the power down by the Port Authority. That was relatively short notice to plan to shut down all of our banking systems. It was a big deal. It was unprecedented. We had a data center on the 97th floor. So our originating servers were all there. During that weekend, the power down meant that there was no security. The doors were all open, basically. And also the security video cameras were all off. But there were guys in overalls carrying huge toolboxes and reels of cables walking around the building on that weekend.
Employees were notified that internet cables were being upgraded. But who were the strange workmen, and what were they really doing?
All the power was shut down. If there was a power down, that meant that everything was gone in terms of security, in terms of access to the building, so anybody could have gone there and do any kind of setup.
Having worked overtime to get his company's servers back up, Scott took the day off on September 11th. As he watched the towers collapse from New Jersey that morning, he was sure this had been the purpose of the mysterious weekend work. Scott notified many authorities, including the 9/11 Commission, about the unusual and lengthy power outage, but was ignored. Ben Fountain of Fireman's Fund spoke of unusual evacuations ordered at the Twin Towers during the weeks before September 11th. Others reported that the security alert was inexplicably lifted 5 days prior and bomb-sniffing dogs were removed. What would the dogs have discovered had they remained on duty?
Okay, I worked in the World Trade Center from 98 until 9/11 in 2001. My interest in the whole issue of a conspiracy for 9/11 is based on fact, that there was a power down in the South Tower on the weekend of the 8th and 9th of September. I worked on it. I was in the tower at the time, so I know for a fact it occurred along with many colleagues. I was at home on the day of 9/11, witnessing the events from my apartment because of the requirement to work on the weekend prior to 9/11. I was sitting in my chair having coffee, and I heard a noise which sounded to me like a very heavy truck hitting a bump in the road and like bouncing. So the noise was like bum, 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 like that. So I got up and went to the window and looked between the Venetian blinds down to the road, and there was nothing. So then I just looked up, and in the North Tower I saw smoke coming out from a high floor. At this point I was hanging out of my bedroom window. I'd pulled the window up and the blinds, and I was hanging out of the window on the phone, and from the corner of my eye to my right I saw the plane coming in, the second plane. It came in from over New Jersey, Staten Island way. And it came almost entirely across the Statue of Liberty, quite an angle, into the tower, and it was coming down as well. I saw the South Tower go down just before 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe my eyes. It looked like a fantasy film. What I saw was the building crumbling, like sand. I remember thinking it looked like sand, and instinctively, the thought went through my head, well, what did we do at the weekend? I didn't believe my eyes, and I didn't understand it either. And, you know, within 20, 25 seconds, where our offices had stood, there was just air and smoke. So we worked on the Saturday morning, shutting everything down, handed over to the Port Authority, and it was handed back to us on the Sunday afternoon. So there was a period of probably 30 hours where there was no power. Right, and it wouldn't have just have affected camera security, it would have affected all the secure systems on doors for either key locks or security badges and so on. To undo them, they weren't working because they're all powered by electricity, so there was no power, there was no backup system, therefore they were all open. I guess my big thing is I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't like to be labelled like that. The information that I want acknowledged is factual, plain and simple. So, you know, I don't have any clarion call for anybody. I just want the truth to be acknowledged and explained.
Yeah, hi, my name's Gary Corbett. I worked for Fiduciary Trust. Recently merged with Franklin Templeton shortly before 9/11. I was a computer operator on the night shift Monday night into Tuesday. The previous weekend there had been a power down. When the power was turned on, there was a lot of problems for all companies within the complex who had computer systems, simply because the mainframes weren't talking to the servers, to the front-end servers, and vice versa. And what made the day really tragic is you had a lot of the technical people, data processing types, coming in early, who wouldn't have been there till 9 or 10 o'clock. They were brought in early, and then you had the admin types coming in because, you know, the trial balances and the books weren't complete. The reason I stopped, I saw the sign, 9/11 was an inside job. Again, because of the power down, there was a complete breakdown of security that weekend. I was working on the 97th floor, and supposedly, you know, Fiduciary had a vault where there was gold, some kind of agreement with J.P. Morgan, or, you know, something someone of my level wouldn't understand. We had guided tours coming into secured areas by mistake, and nobody picking it up because there's no intrusion alarms or anything else. And the one thing, besides the loss of coworkers that day that I'll never forget, the CEO or whatever she was, Ann Tatlock, just happened to be out of town, and, you know, within moments after the collapse, you know, made the statement to the stockholders and the other people that we lost a lot of people, but don't worry about them, they were only clerks. And that's the thing that'll stick with me. Thank you. Any questions? Or?
Yeah. You mentioned the power down. Could you elaborate on that? And when was the power down?
The power down started like Friday night close of business, gradually into Saturday morning. It was the essential areas only. Fiduciary Trust was completely down. We were just there on guard duty. We were doing nothing because the power was off. The power came on probably sometime, I'm guessing, about 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon.
And this was before the towers came down?
This was before. So, like, what I'm saying is, in regard
how much before?
A day.
Power down was
two?
about 2 days before.
Yeah, but it was off completely for a good 24 to 36 hours.
And how many people went into the building during that period?
Oh, in its heyday, the entire, just because it's Friday, it's hard to put an estimate, but a lot of the back office people for all companies, including Fuji Bank, was like our neighbor, and just dedicated people who would, work in the dark. I don't know how many are in the business world.
Were there any unknown handyman type people?
That's hard to say because you don't see people from Local 3 every. You see the maintenance people that for your floor, the assigned floors. You don't know who's from Local 3. Could be a guy with blue eyes, or he could be your stereotype, Mideastern type, and it's New York.
What's that around your neck?
This is my ID card from Fiduciary Trust. It wasn't even changed over to Franklin Templeton, and sick as humor may be, the men's room key for the 97th floor. So call them, good luck charms.
Again, his name is Scott Forbes. He joins us from across the pond today. Scott, thank you for making time for us.
You're very welcome. Hello.
What was the date of the power down, and had there been one prior to this?
Okay. The power down was on the Saturday and Sunday prior to 9/11, so that would have been the 8th and 9th of September. We were given 3 weeks' notice. It was relatively a short time notice period to make all the preparations needed. And it was unprecedented. We'd never experienced a power down in the towers, as far as I am aware. I had worked in the towers from 1998. My colleagues who had been in the building well beyond that could not remember an occasion such as this, apart from the bomb incident in the early 90s.
Well, let's move to this, Scott, because now the power has been down, and you see a number of maintenance workers coming into the building. What was in your mind suspicious, or notably suspicious, about some of these workers coming in to come in for the power down?
Actually, at the time, I wasn't suspicious at all. It was just part of the fact that there was a power down and that there were workers in overalls in the building.
But looking back now, you noticed that there were some suspicious behavior with these workers.
Well, of course, looking back, you question everything, and you wonder, well, one of the main reasons why I became suspicious was I got in touch with the Port Authority, and I got in touch with the 9/11 Commission to register this piece of information so that it would be acknowledged, if only to be thrown away. And I had no acknowledgement. They did not come back to me. I repeatedly called and wrote letters to them. I've had no acknowledgement. It's as if this information is of no interest to anyone, but to me it seems to be part of the puzzle and should be registered. I was not in the office on 9/11 because of working that weekend. I had the day off on the Tuesday, and so I was in my apartment, which overlooked the Trade Center. I lived in Jersey City, across the river from the towers, so I was eyewitness to what went on there. And as soon as I saw the first tower go down, the South Tower, I was highly suspicious. It just didn't look correct. It looked like a controlled demolition. It did not look like a building collapsing either from an aircraft hitting it or from a fire inside. It seemed to crumble into dust.
Yeah.
It